Is 2026 the year we finally watch small artists die out? Yesterday I posted this comic with my feelings on the situation, as there's been a lot of conversation online recently, especially with the new EU packaging laws. If you're someone who follows a lot of art accounts, you've probably noticed a lot of people disappearing, stopping posting, or announcing their exits. Fewer likes, fewer comments, less people engaging. As an artist, you start to wonder if it's you, if your work got worse, if people just stopped liking you, or if you've suddenly got it all wrong, you're doing something wrong. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I want to talk honestly about what's actually happening and causing artists to leave with my 4 main reasons, because it's not just you, it's bigger than any one platform, and a lot of things are outside of your control. Quick context if you're new here, I'm Jaya, I run the account Remy's World. It's a mental health illustration brand that I've created to help people feel less alone. I illustrate my own comics myself, and I've just moved into making physical products, so I completely understand with people in the space right now, artists that are struggling, as I'm also living through this and experiencing it with you. I'm not just watching it from the outside, I'm also living through and suffering through it with you. So the first topic that I'm going to comment on actually has a name now. It's called algorithm anxiety. It's the chronic stress and creative paralysis that comes from trying to constantly come up with new ideas, constantly trying to engage the algorithm, constantly trying to pump out new content, while also trying to stay on top of creating your art and your art practice and not becoming entirely disillusioned with it. Nobody outside the platforms actually understands how the platforms work. You can to a degree, but ultimately Instagram, Meta, YouTube, all of the social platforms have not put out direct information on how their algorithm works or how it changes. So even if you feel like you're doing everything right, videos that you used to post are not working anymore or not getting as much engagement, it's not a personal failure, it's usually down to the algorithm or something that they have changed and not informed us on. Because even if you do everything right, you post consistently, you use trending audios, you follow all the advice, you'll still get 47 views sometimes, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. The system is deliberately built to make you feel anxious so that you continually post more. Unpredictability keeps you posting, keeps you on the platform, and keeps you checking. Ultimately, it keeps you on the app for longer. And here's the trap for small accounts specifically. If you start with low engagement, the algorithm will see that and have a reason to stop pushing your content out less, keeps your engagement low. Your engagement being low then causes the algorithm to push you out even less. It's a downward spiral, and it happens to so many creators, myself included. And it's not because your work isn't valuable, your art is rubbish, or you're terrible at everything. It's because you haven't gained the momentum that the algorithm rewards. The next topic that I'm going to comment on is the pay-to-play reality. Here's a number that might make you feel better or worse. I'm going to read it now. Organic reach on pages is now estimated to be around 2 to 5% of your followers. So if you have 1,000 people following you, maybe 20 to 50 of them see any given post. Let that sink in for a minute. You have people that have followed your platform because they want to see your content, and your content is not coming up on their pages. That's not a glitch, that's the business model, that's how it's intended on these apps. Reach that used to be free is now something that you have to pay for. It can make you feel like you're shouting into an empty room. Paying to get your content boosted doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to reach the right people either. Usually when I've boosted content, it ends up going onto a cold audience, so not even the audience that's following my content. The audience that it's being pushed onto are way less likely to engage because they've never engaged with any of my work before, they don't know who I am, but the apps are designed for you to pay for more engagement because that's how they make money. It's not that people stop caring about your work, it's that your work is literally not being shown to your audience. The next point I'm going to touch on is the one that everyone is talking right now, the new EU regulations. Starting from August 2026, the EU AI Act requires that all creators disclose when they've used AI for scripts, thumbnails, voiceovers, literally everything. Even if you use AI occasionally or not at all, this is one thing that every artist now needs to track and make sure that they get right. While there are benefits to that, as it is important to know when AI has been used to generate artwork, and people can't get away with just saying that their artwork is theirs and they've handmade it and they spent hours on it. Other new regulation is the one that is going to be impacting small businesses and small artists the most. EU Packaging and Waste Regulation Act has just come into effect. From August the 12th, anyone shipping and creating physical products must be in compliance with the new EU regulations, which are to reduce waste, to make sure that materials being used are easily recyclable. And on paper, that sounds great. I definitely agree that there needs to be more done about caring for the environment and making sure that there is less waste. However, if you are wanting to trade in the EU, you also need to pay to register in every single country. That's 27 countries. and the fees are from £100 to £700 per country. For a small business, that is a huge cost, and many will not be able to afford paying to trade in these countries, meaning they're having to close their EU markets altogether. This is applicable to everyone inside or outside of the EU, but if you're outside of the EU, you also need to hire someone to take care of the legality for you. That's another additional cost that many businesses can't afford. So on top of the algorithm, even if you found your audience, if they happen to be in the EU, you might not even necessarily be able to send products to them. The fourth and final point I'm going to touch on is the one that has been infuriating me the most at the minute, which is having my work flagged up as AI when it's not. There was a really excellent video made by Melanie Murphy, which I will leave in the description and probably put here, about artists being flagged up as AI, because when your work is flagged up as AI, it's not going to be pushed out as much. Not pushed out as much, we've covered this already, you're not going to have any views, you're not going to get any engagement, you're not going to, yeah, you get the point. The problem is, so many creators, so many artists are being flagged up as AI because their work is either being used to train the AI models, which means that it will obviously be flagged up as AI because if someone is feeding your work into the system, it's now at one with the machine and something that people are going to use to generate their own work. Or people are taking your work and they are running it through AI models themselves. Either way, it's really infuriating when your work is not generated with AI and you've hand-drawn everything yourself, you've handmade things yourself, and it's still getting flagged up as AI on the system. However, it's not all doom and gloom, and I don't want to leave this conversation in a negative spot because there are definitely things that we can take control of, even if there's a lot of things that we can't take control of. But before I go into the things that we can control, I just wanted to say, I don't think that this is the year that small artists die out. Going back to the original statement that I made at the beginning of this video, I think that 2026 is just the year that it is no longer deniable that there is a huge structural issue that many creators are facing the ramifications of at the moment, and so many artists are struggling, not because that they got worse at their craft and not because that their audience stopped caring, but because there are fundamentally components that they can't control. But I just wanted to affirm to any creative out there, it's not a personal failing, and you shouldn't feel like your work is any worse just because of things that you have no control over. So here are the things that will actually help. First of all, the things that will help if you're an artist or if you're a creative. The first thing that I would suggest is start building up your email list, because this is an audience that you can contact anytime you want, any product launch, any updates. If they are subscribed to your email, they will get your email if you send it out. There is no algorithm there which is determining whether or not they will see your content. The next thing I would say is you don't need to post 24/7. I've fallen into this trap myself so many times because you just want one video to just hit the spot and go viral, and ultimately that's not how it works. You can post less, but just make sure that what you're posting is really quality. It is geared directly for your audience. It is not just rubbish that you're throwing out into the ether and hoping that the algorithm will chew up and either spit out or love and show to every single person on the app. If you're not doing already, make sure you reply to your comments. That also helps create a sense of community and engage with your audience, as well as helping the algorithm. It's proven to help reach, and it's real connection with your audience that I know I personally take a lot of value from. Make sure you're diversifying where you're posting. Don't just only post on Instagram and that's the only platform that you're posting on, because if Instagram decides one day, I hate you, I'm not pushing you out anywhere, you will be screwed. Diversify where you're posting. Make sure you're covering all bases and different platforms. It can be a lot to manage. I would say 2 to 3 if you're starting out, but make sure that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket if one platform decides to turn around and stop pushing your content out. If the EU rules are impacting you, I'm trying to look into different ways around this at the minute. I think that print-on-demand services, they have to be covered, so you're covered under them, which means that you can avoid the fees but also be in compliance with their packaging rules, as long as you're using their packaging that is vetted. I'm not sure if you upload your work to Etsy, take control of that, and they are the ones liable. I'd definitely look into it a bit more. There will be ways around it. It's just very frustrating if you are a person that hand makes physical products yourself, which I have also done. I'm not sure how, because you can't really print on demand that, and you can't really outsource that, because even if you pay for a fulfillment centre in the EU, you're only registered in that country. You can only fulfill orders in that country. And here's advice for anyone who loves supporting creators or really wants to help out artists right now who are flailing and struggling and generally upset at the moment. Comment on the posts that you love, it really means a lot. Engage with them. It's the single biggest thing you can do for anyone's reach. Scrolling doesn't help us. It means it's more likely that we're going to disappear if no one engages. Obviously, if you don't like someone's content, you don't have to like it. But if you do really appreciate and connect with someone's work, a like or a comment really does go a long way. And if you really love something, maybe share it to your story so other people can also enjoy it. Try and buy directly from artists when you can. I understand that not everyone will have the means to do this, but if you do, it really means a lot to so many small businesses and small artists. Shopping small saves businesses and saves small artists. It matters so much more to a small business than you will ever realise. And maybe share creators that you love with your friends, because share the love, spread the joy. If you love someone, they might too. None of the advice I have given will rewrite the algorithm or fix anything overnight, but I hope this video gives you some clarity on some of the reasons why you may be struggling. Art has survived every single shift before. Galleries into print media, MySpace, Tumblr, every single platform. Art is not going anywhere. Art will always exist. People have never stopped needing art and people have never stopped wanting it or creating it. If you're a small business or a small artist, let me know how you feel about the new regulations down in the comments, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye!